Hello, ladies and gents, and welcome back to A Wrist of Time. My name is Sai, and welcome to episode 3 of A Wrist of Time Radio. Today, we're going to be discussing a little topic that I found very interesting. I've been following for a while, and as you've read by the title, it's Is Tudor replacing Rolex, but not as you seem? Now, I want to do a little bit of explanation to what I mean by this. And again, this is just my opinion of what is going on in the watch world. Please feel free to start the discussion in the comments down below. So stick with me, please, guys, and see what you think. Now, what do I mean by is Tudor replacing Rolex? Well, quite simply, I'm talking here purely on retail price, brand recognition, and the whole kind of brand hierarchy status that Tudor and Rolex have within the wider watch world. Now, to give you some information on the digging that I've been doing, the prices that I have found for both retail price. Remember, this is all retail pricing. I'm not talking about the vastly overinflated prices that you will find Rolex watches for at the grey market. I'm talking solely now at retail, because of course 3-4 years ago you could buy most Rolexes in a store and even actually get a bit of a discount. But I'm going to focus today on the Submariner date, the latest iteration of the Rolex Submariner date, that's the 41mm, and I'm going to compare it to its Tudor little brother, which is of course the Black Bay, one of its famous Tudor models. And I'm going to talk about prices to start with. Now, the current price, list price for a Rolex Submariner date in the UK is £7,650, and the price for a Black Bay is £2,800. Now let's roll the clock back to 2008, and the retail price on a Submariner date in 2008 was $5,175 US. Now in 2008, when the pound was very strong, the pound was roughly, on average, 1.98 to 1 on the dollar. So we call it, for argument's sake, 2 to 1. So that gives a price of the Rolex Submariner in pounds of roughly £2,600, which, isn't that far off that £200 price of the current Tudor Black Bay. Now, let's roll back forward, as I said, to 2021. Now, that £2,500 of yesterday's money. Now, that £2,500 with inflation in 2020 will actually be worth around £3,400 today, which, funny old thing, is about the same price as Tudor's flagship diver model, the Pelagos. Brilliant model, all in titanium. I'm sure lots of people will know about it. So, the price of the Submariner then has gone up almost 3 times that. And in fact, it's almost doubled just on the dollar to a retail price now of £9,550. So, it's had a 100% inflation on its price in 12 years. So, realistically, it's hugely overpriced. You could argue that it's even more overpriced thanks to the dubious practices of grey market dealers and ADs, although I do have another video on that, as I'm sure you may have seen. My previous Wrist of Time radio episode dealt with that topic. So what do I think this all means in terms of what the Hans Wilder Foundation are doing with their two most prestigious brands, Tudor and Rolex? Simply, I believe that Tudor is now where Rolex was 12 to 15 years ago. For those who may be lucky enough to have handled an old Rolex, and I have seen a few that my contemporaries have lent me to have a look at, and it's what I suspected anyway, was that Rolex was always a beautiful, accurate watch on a rattly bracelet that was aspirational, but it's something you could afford, after a few paychecks. We see often a lot of servicemen who bought Rolexes and now they're selling them for huge amounts of money years later. But it was always that achievable, aspirational, beautiful brand that we all know and love. And I think Tudor has now been positioned into that price bracket. I'm talking the price bracket that competes with Omega and Breitling and Tag Heuer and that level of watches in the sort of sub £4,000 market, where you will find lots of rivals to the Black Bay. You'll find the Super Oceans of the world. You'll find the Aqua Racers of the world. You will find the Omega Seamasters of the world. And Rolex itself is really pushing now for the Rolex brand to go up to the next level of horology, if that may be the case. I don't think it's quite at the big three level of Patek Philippe, Audemars Piguet, or Vacherin Constantin, but certainly I think they are going into that, Blancpain, Jaeger-LeCoultre level of prestige and horology. Certainly they are now one level above the Breitlings and the Omegas of the world, certainly in recommended retail pricing, but also in, I think, brand recognition and prestige. So I think it's been a very, very clever marketing ploy by Tudor and Rolex. They have, let's not forget, Tudor only relaunched in 2009 to, much applause. The Black Bay has been a fantastic in-house movement chronometer that they've made. Tudor is endorsed by top celebrities. It's on its way up. It holds its value as well as its big brother. And there's even a couple of models, the Ep.3 GMT when it came out, that were selling almost like a Rolex, and that they were selling for over list price. Not many Swiss watches will, outside of those two brands, will sell over list price, or even require a waiting list. So that's what I think has happened. So let me know, guys. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? Is Tudor now in the position Rolex was 15 years ago? Have they played a blinder with their branding and their marketing? Has Rolex managed to reach the next level? All, things considered, considering their pricing? Please feel free to start the discussion. I love reading all your comments. This is just what this series is about. It's just me talking and you answering. So thanks very much for listening, guys. And we'll have a new episode coming soon.